we'll be discussing a bit about project management using the PRINCE2 methodology. Before I get into the subject, let me introduce myself. I'm Mahesh. I'm based out of Mumbai. I come with 27, 28 years of experience completely into IT industry. I have worked with multinationals and I was fortunate enough to have the opportunities to travel across the globe and work with different clients from different industries, mainly the financials, but I have also worked for insurance industry and healthcare, US healthcare as well. So I had been to US, UK, Malaysia, Saudi, Singapore, and last few years working with the Indian multinationals and Indian clients. Software testing, quality assurance is my bread and butter, and I'm passionate about IT project and program management. So last almost 7 8 years, I've been playing the role of program manager. My first interaction or my introduction with PRINCE2 was way back in 2006 when I did my PRINCE2 Foundation certification, and since then I'm in love with PRINCE2. That's a de facto methodology for all UK government projects, and almost every project, every organization in UK across Europe would ask for the PRINCE2 certification to play the role of a project manager on almost any of their projects. It is widely accepted in Australia and Singapore and Middle East as well. So I have been PRINCE2 practitioner since 2011, and I have been trainer since again 2011 when I did my practitioner certification. I started training. So I do train and coach and handhold people for their PRINCE2 certification. Now I'm approved trainer from Axelos as well. So that's my introduction, and I think let's get into the subject. So before we get into PRINCE2, or before we get into the whole project management and how it should be done and what are the rules, how to deliver the successful projects, what are the roles and responsibilities of a project manager. So before we talk about all these things about the project, let's try to define what a project is. So what is a project in your experience? Right. So let's see how PRINCE2 defines a project. So PRINCE2 says it is a temporary organization that is created for the purpose of delivering one or more business products according to an agreed business case. Now you can see the same definition on your screen. A few of the words are highlighted. So let's decode this definition. Let's try to understand why some keywords there which are highlighted and what do they mean, and how PRINCE2 defines a project. So it starts with saying it is a temporary organization. So there is a start date and there is an end date. Anything, any set of activities, any tasks which has got a start date and an end date can be termed as or can be considered as a project. So it starts with the word, the definition starts with the word temporary. When by temporary, it means something which has got a start and an end date. And then it says it is a temporary organization. Now, by organization, PRINCE2 means a team of people coming together. They form the organization. So we call company, enterprise, PRINCE2 says organization. So project is a temporary organization. So a group of people, a team of people coming together for a limited period of time, which has got a start date and end date, a temporary period of time. So this organization is created. So it was not existing earlier till the time I am defining what my project is. this temporary organization was not there. I created it for some purpose. What is that purpose? There could be one or more business products which this organization or this project team will be delivering. Now, again, here something important to be noted is across everywhere in the PRINCE2, whenever you come across the word products, please consider it includes the physical products, any services, or even the human resources as well. Right? So as per the definition, it says it is a temporary team, a temporary organization which has been created specifically with the purpose of delivering one or more business products. That too, those products should be according to an agreed business case. So this temporary organization, the project team, and the other stakeholders of the project, internal and external, should have agreed to a business case. What is a business case? In simple terms, a business case is something which gives the justification why a project should be executed. Correct? So with this justification or for this justification, this temporary organization which will be delivering the project should be agreed, and all the other internal and external stakeholders also should be agreed to this business case. Right? With this brief explanation about the definition, let's look at the definition once again. So the way PRINCE2 defines a project is it is a temporary organization for a set period of time, a group of people, a team of people coming together. That team or that group is created for the purpose of delivering one or more business products. Now, let's take an example, Swiggy, right? Most commonly used application. Now, Swiggy initially started with the tie-ups or the restaurant services. Later on, they expanded their business for the grocery and other household things as well. Correct? So initially, when Swiggy began, the business case or the justification for the project to be executed was delivering the food from the restaurants. Later on, as that business saw the success, they added the other services also. So a project can have one or more business products or can get extended into the timelines. But again, every extension will have a fixed start and end date. So that's how PRINCE2 as a project management methodology defines what a project is. This definition is important from the concept understanding or your foundation, PRINCE2 foundation certification examination, wherein you will have to recollect and reproduce the exact terms whenever there is a question around this. I hope this part is clear and we can go ahead. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop and ask the questions. So as we have defined what a project is, let's look at the characteristics of the project. So as per the definition, we said it is a temporary organization. So a set of people, group of people, a team coming together. Now it is not a team from a single function or from a single department or with the same skill set, but it is the cross-functional. It is the cross-functional. We will take some examples. Okay? I'll try to take some examples, day-to-day familiar examples. For example, let's say we are the IT service provider, software development company, and a bank has awarded us a project for developing internet banking portal for them. So as as a software development company, I need to develop internet banking portal for this ABC bank. Right? Now, in this case, what will happen is I will define a project like in next 6 months, I have to deliver this internet banking portal. Now, to deliver this portal, what I need is a team. Now, here I will bring people from different departments with the different skills, with the different functional background. I will need some software developers, I will need some software testers, I will need the business analysts, I will need the banking SMEs, I will need the IT architects. So all these people, they will come from different departments or the functions within this, within my company of software development service provider. Hence, my project is cross-functional. It cannot be a single function which will work and deliver the project. It could be any other project as well. Even if we take another common example in our day-to-day life that we see is flyovers being constructed or multi-story buildings being constructed. So any construction project, from civil construction project. Now in civil construction project also we will need architects, we will need engineers, we will need the labor, we will need different suppliers. So all the team members, they will be coming from the different functions, making a project as a cross function. A single team, a single function will not be able to deliver the project. Now, we also saw a word temporary. So we can see that is a characteristic of a project. As I mentioned, it has to be with a fixed start date and a fixed end date. Then a project will deliver something unique. If a project is not delivering a unique product, a unique service, or some kind of unique characteristics in an existing product or existing service, then it cannot be termed as a project. The another angle to the same thing is project will always bring a change. There are two things that what we generally hear in the organizations or across the industries. One is a business as usual. So all the support work, all the call center work or our service centers work is considered as a BAU, business as usual. They don't bring anything new, but they continue running the business. That is one part of the business side. The another side is the projects, which will bring some change, which will bring some uniqueness to the existing product or the unique product. Right? And that will be the justification for the project. So there is this new product or the new feature that I want to launch in my platform, or there is a new technology which I would like to try in the construction of this particular building. Any other project activity also, if we consider, it will be unique from that project perspective, and it will bring a change. So if I'm constructing a building, obviously there was not that building existing earlier. I am bringing that change. And this change, what I'm bringing is the unique one. Now, while I am bringing cross-functional people together for temporary period and bringing the change, and that is a unique one, while I'm doing all these things, there is going to be a certain part of uncertainty. My project will have multiple dependencies. The activities of the project will have multiple predecessors, internal to my organization and external to my organization. So again, going back to the example of developing the internet banking portal. Now, in this case, as a service provider, software service provider, I have a dependency on the SMEs from the bank side. I have the dependency on the internet service provider. Right? I have the dependency on the government regulations. Now, if there is any change in any of this depending part, that will introduce the uncertainty. Then there is uncertainty from the budget's angle, from the human angle, which we'll have to consider. So these uncertainties are nothing but the risks to the project. Whenever we say a project, it comes with these characteristics. It will always be a cross-functional team. It will bring a unique product or unique feature in the product. It will bring some change in the way the things were earlier, and it will be done, it will be executed, it will be delivered in a fixed time frame. Okay? These are the characteristics of a project. Again, I will take a pause here. If you have any questions, please say. Let me know. Okay, we'll go ahead. While we have seen now the definition and we know what are the characteristics of a project, let's look at some of the aspects or some of the areas based on which the project performance will be decided. I will take another example. Say there is an airline company, and I don't want to take the name, but let's assume XYZ Airlines company, and it has the operations, domestic operations. Now, when we say that this particular XYZ flight company, they are very good. Now, very good is a qualitative expression, right? So to back this qualitative expression, what we do is we look into how did they perform. Now, the performance of this airline company will be measured on different parameters. Are they cost effective? How are their own profit margins, and how is their own business doing? Even the cleanliness, the feedback from the clients, the happiness index or the engagement index of their employees. There will be different parameters against which the performance of this airlines organization will be measured. Similarly, every project will be measured for its performance on these different aspects or in these different areas. Which are those? The first one is cost, then sustainability, time, quality, scope, risk, and benefits. There is no particular sequence or the order or the priority defined by PRINCE2 for these aspects or the areas of project performance. All are equally important. All needs to be considered. All the aspects should be measured and reported to decide how did my project perform, whether it was a success or it was not. Now, even it may happen that out of these seven, my project may have done good in 3 or 4 areas or aspects. In the rest of it, there might have been some challenges. Right? So there is no particular sequence here. The easier way to remember these are what was the scope of my project, so what I was expected to deliver, and when I delivered that, what benefits did I get? So scope and benefits. Now, while doing this, what was the risk I was carrying? What was the risk that was taken? And then time, cost, quality. The last one is the sustainability, but of course, though it's the last one, I'm saying it is equally important, the sustainability. Now, United Nations have defined 17 sustainability goals. They're very different ones and catering to almost every area of a human life, right from hunger and then life underwater, then gender balance or gender equality. There are 17 such different areas which we will be learning as we go further in detail. But those 17 sustainability goals. We need to see which out of those 17 are applicable to my project, which are relevant to my project, and then my project performance will be measured against those selected sustainability goals. Right? So a project will be measured against these 6 aspects. How will it be measured? Let's say I had a budget of 50 CR for my project. Now, out of that, I managed to deliver the project in 45 CR. So I did very good in terms of the costs. So my project's performance in the area of cost or budgets is very good. Correct? But I faced some quality related issues in my product, because of which I had to do some rework. So my project performance in the area of the quality was not to the great high level of the expectation, but it just made the expectation of the client. So as I mentioned, the out of these 7 areas, some may be good, some may face some challenges, but then we need to measure, and every project will be measured for its performance in this 7 areas. As we go ahead in the journey of PRINCE2, we'll be getting down much deeper into these areas, and how to set the target, how to measure these targets, how to report these targets, how to interpret the reports. So we'll be getting into all those different areas of PRINCE2 as we continue. Right, so I'll move ahead. There are 3, as PRINCE2 says, there are 3 different roles or the teams or the representations in the PRINCE2 project organization. So by definition, we saw it's a temporary organization. So now this project organization must have these 3 representations. Okay? One is the user, one is the supplier, and one is the business. Now, I'll take one more example. Let's say we are Samsung, and we are part of their mobile handset manufacturing division. We have a project to launch a new handset with some unique features. And before we design, or before we get into that project, before we commit to a good amount of investments to develop this handset, we would like to understand how the users see these new features, how the users would perceive this new handset if launched with this XYZ features. So what I want to know is my user feedback, early feedback. And then even during the project life cycle, I would like to understand how the users are finding the product or the services that I'm launching. So in my project organization, I must have one person or maybe a team who will represent the users. Now for Samsung, if I'm Samsung, for Samsung, it is not possible to go and talk with every Samsung handset user, mobile handset user. That is practically, it will not be possible. So what will be done is some market surveys, market study, market analysis will be done. And some people who have the expertise or the skills to think like a user and to work like a user, they will be onboarded on my project organization, and they will represent the users. They will interpret the end user pulse, which can be taken by different surveys or market analysis. So what I'm doing is I'm having a very small set of sample team who will represent the users. Something similar for the suppliers. Now, if I am Samsung, I will have multiple suppliers for the material that I will be using in the handset and to support this project execution. Even my caterer in the physical offices is my supplier. The organization from where I get, or the vendor from where I get my stationeries in the offices, which is used by my project team, project organization, that is my supply. The chips, the outer body covers, everything, whichever I get it from outside, there are vendors and suppliers. So I need the supplier representation as well in my project organization because I have multiple dependencies on these suppliers. Right? So again, what I will do is I will have a sample small team who will represent the supplier's interest. And then, of course, the business is me, whose money is at stake. I need some representation from the business also. So Prince2 says for any project, there must be the representation from these three different units or groups. Let's see a little more details. So a user who will specify the desired outputs. As we said, okay, if I'm building or if I'm manufacturing a new handset, I will have the user representatives on my project team, and they will define or they will specify the desired output. What is it that is expected by the end of this project? What is the product? How that product will be put into the use? That will be defined or specified by the user representatives. The supplier will provide the resources. Now, these are not only the human resources, but any human and material resources and the expertise to deliver the products. As I mentioned, right from the chip supplier to the stationery supplier to the housekeeping staff provider, everybody who has a direct or indirect interest or participation in the project execution is the supplier, and there must be some representation of them on my project organization. Similarly, the business is the one who provides the project mandate and the structure for the project governance. Now, what do you mean by project mandate? Mandate is a single line requirement which comes from the business, which comes from those who are investing the money into building the product or the service. So that at the top level, there will be one line requirement defined. So we need a new age technology handset. That could be the project mandate. Or we need to construct a 15-story residential building on this ground. Is a project mandate. Right? We need to develop a web-based portal for the customer of the banks to perform the banking applications online. So that could be the project mandate. Okay? And the business will also provide the structure for the project governance in the terms of who will be making the decisions at the management level and at the day-to-day life level. So there will be a very well-defined structure that will be defined by the business to deliver the project, to execute the project. As we go further, we will be learning more about these roles and their responsibilities and who is accountable for what. We'll be dwelling down into a lot of elaborated and detailed of these roles and how they come together to deliver a project using the Prince2 methodology. I believe this is clear. If there are any questions, please let me know. And then we'll move on. Now, projects are unique. The characteristics, one of the characteristics of the project is it will develop something unique. It will bring something unique. It will bring a change which will bring something unique. Now, when we say this, we need to understand the context, the background of the project. Right? There's nothing like a one shoe fits all kind of a thing in the world of the projects and the project management. Even a little change in any aspect of my project performance will change the context of the project. Right? Let's see what are the different contexts that are there for any given project. There can be organizational context. What type of organization is executing the project, for what type of or what kind of a product or a service to be developed? What is the delivery method being used? So we'll talk about a couple of different delivery methods and how will they impact. What is the scale of the project? Is it very small one? Is it medium size? Is it very large size? Again, the definition of the small, medium, and large will change from the organization to organization. We need to understand that scaling context for the project. Then the commercial context, how the commercials will be executed, how the commercials will be managed. That will also impact the project, and how the sustainability goals which are applicable or which are relevant to the project, they will change the way the projects are being delivered. Okay. Let's look at this organizational context. There are different types of organizations. If you go back to our MBA days or study days, we understand or you remember that there are different types of organizations. Some are flat, some are hierarchical, some are very complex organizational structure. Some are profit making, some are non-profits, right? Then and there could be the geographical backgrounds or the aspects of the organization, which will also make a difference when you're executing a project. So for example, if I am a mid-size India-based IT company, software development company, and if I'm executing a project for some US-based financial organization, that becomes one context or one type of a project. But if the same India-based IT company is executing this kind of project, right, for another India-based financial organization, then the context changes here. Then even the commercial context will change here. The laws will change here. For US, it will be considered as the software export. Right? Different regulations will be applicable. Different rules for the financial transactions will be applicable than what and how it happens for the domestic client. Okay. Then there are delivery methods. Now, in what setup I'm working? Is it like an outsourced project or is it in-house? PRINCE2 is even applicable to in-house projects. There is no restriction. So if I'm doing an in-house project, my delivery method could be different. If I'm the one to whom, or I'm the entity to whom the project is outsourced, then I may be following a different delivery methodology. For specifically for IT projects, it could be the agile way of delivery. It could be iterative, incremental way of delivery, or it could be a big bang. Right? Even in the civil construction project, what kind of delivery method I'll be following. So, if you recollect, you must have seen different examples. Like say there is a residential building is coming up. Now, sometimes what happens is when they construct, say 3, 4, 5 floors, they get the clearance and they sell those apartments and people even can come and start staying there. Sometimes they have to wait till they finish the entire construction, the entire building, and then they get the clearance and then the people can move. So there could be different delivery methods which will be followed for different projects from different industries or sectors. Even within the same industry, same sector, the delivery methods can be different. Now, when we are managing the project, we must understand this organizational context, this delivery method, which is being used, even the scale. Constructing a G+1 bungalow for myself or an independent house for myself and constructing a 20-story residential building. You can see the difference. For internet banking portal, providing the very basic features of login and then view your account balance and then open the recurring or FDs. That is one scale of the project. But a full-fledged internet banking portal, which is even integrated with the trading platform, with your other investment platforms, and providing the entire gamut of the banking services, that's a very different scale of the project. All these contexts, they are going to play a very vital role when you plan your project, when you execute your project, and you deliver the products. The commercial context can be different. If I'm delivering something in a iterative incremental way, like small piece at one time, then the another piece, then the third piece, then the commercial context also may change. I don't have to wait for the entire product to be ready. I may start getting paid for every delivery achieved. Right? Then, as I said, if I'm delivering something outside the country, the commercial context will be different. If I'm delivering something within the country domestically, then the commercial context will be different. Based on what sustainability goals are applicable to my project, I need to change the way I'll be planning and executing my project. So, for example, let's say if I'm constructing a residential building, then many environment related goals, sustainability goals will become applicable to my project. But if I'm delivering only the internet banking portal, then not all of them will be applicable to my project. Then maybe gender equality becomes a very important goal for me, for my project. So I need to understand, as a project manager, I need to understand which are those goals which are applicable, which are very relevant, and then include the relevant activities, include the relevant checks, include the relevant reporting mechanism for those goals and for the sustainability goals. Right? So always understand what is the project context. Now, this particular part is very important from your practitioner perspective also. What happens is, in a practitioner examination, you will be given a hypothetical scenario and you will have the questions with multiple choice for the answer based on that scenario. Now, when you read that scenario, you need to understand what is the context of that particular project given in the scenario. So understanding the context of the project becomes very important. We know if there are any questions or we can move ahead. So a few minutes back, we went through a slide which said that there must be user, supplier, and business representation in the project organization. So those are the different interests in the project. So this is a diagram which explains how these interests are part of the project ecosystem as well as the organizational ecosystem. So in the project, all these three interests will be part of the project ecosystem, but there will be an overlap on the organizational ecosystem. So sometimes I may have the users within the organization also. So again, we'll go back to our example of Samsung. So if I'm Samsung, I can give that new handset for the beta level testing to my own employees. So they become my user also. They are part of the organization. They are part of the project, or they may or may not be the part of the project, but they become my user. Okay. So similarly, there is business and there will be suppliers. Suppliers again can be outside the organizational ecosystem or can be very well internal to the organizational ecosystem. Okay. This is a pictorial representation. Go ahead. Now, so now we are coming to the very specific elements or the structure of PRINCE2. PRINCE2 has people at the center of it. And then around people, what we have is the project context, principles, practices, and processes. The entire PRINCE2 methodology will revolve around these elements. We'll be learning in detail about these elements and how to implement those, how to adapt those elements at the project level and even at the organizational level. Okay? So with people at the center, uh, there are 7 principles, 7 practices, and 7 processes. Now, these principles are nothing but my North Star, my guiding star. These 7 principles are to be followed to the word. Right? Then there are practices, again 7 practices, which will help me to follow these principles, to implement these principles in my project. So these practices are you can imagine them like focus area or theme or something which will help me to implement or adopt the principles. Then the processes, there are again 7 processes, and these 7 processes, they will help me to activity wise, they will help me to follow these practices. Okay. So there are 7 principles, 7 practices, 7 processes. All these 21 elements are separate. So there is no particular order or a sequence or a priority here. Imagine these 21 elements plus the context and the people as 23 items, like a closely related, interrelated web of the things. Everywhere it is many to many relationship. All principles talk with all practices with all processes with people with context. So you see, this is a tightly integrated web of the things. Go ahead. This is how PRINCE2 represents the organization, the project organization. On the top, there is a business layer. At the bottom, there are team members who will be actually working on development of the product or the service. In between the gray box, what you see is the project team. So this gray box here is the, I'm sorry, this gray box here is the project team. This white box inside the gray box is called as the governance team. PRINCE2 calls it as project board. So the project board will have user representation, will have the supplier representation, and will have the business representation. Business representation is, or that role is termed as the executive. These are all the roles. All these 3 roles, they will come together to perform the duties of project assurance. Then there will be the project manager, then there will be the project support, and then there could be the team manager and the team member. You. Nigel, you there?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hey, Nigel, just the thing, sorry, that last